Welcome to JustWannaQuilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, where we explore all kinds of things, stories about quilting, tools, field trips, maybe some famous quilters stop by, and, of course, a little bit of copyright thrown in just for fun. I'm Elizabeth Townsend Guard, your host. I'm a law professor at Tulane University Law School. I also have 2 fellowships now, one at the Business School, a LePage Faculty Fellow, and one at the Newcomb Institute, the Greenbaum Fellowship, both at Tulane, and I just want to quilt. Okay, so our conversation about homemade face masks continue today. Today we have Joyce and Janice, who are sisters, but they're a powerhouse. They're a powerhouse couple. They're the people behind WeNeedMasks.org, and what they're doing is looking at. They've got a website up, WeNeedMasks.org, and they really are targeting both hospitals and other spaces like animal care programs, Walmart, Whittier Emergency Department, so senior care, and they talk to us about why they started it, who they are, and what they're doing. We're recording. Okay. All right. So this is the easy question. I'm going to ask you two basic questions, and then we're going to go on to sort of what's happening. So can you each tell me your name and where you're calling from? Let's start with that.
My name is Joyce Perhack, and I am in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And I'm Janice Blasco, and I'm in Orlando, Florida.
Okay. So my second question is, how do you all know each other?
We are business partners in several different properties, and we also happen to be sisters.
Oh, nice. Sisters. Like sisters. This is awesome. All right. So we always ask this question, and even in times of crisis, we're going to keep asking, which is, tell me your first memory of someone sewing or quilting in your life.
My first memory is of my grandmother, also Janice's grandmother, obviously. And she was making a dress for me and had me lay on the table so that she could make a pattern by drawing around me, which today I don't know that anybody still has the skills to do that.
It's really interesting. And is Janice, is that your memory as well?
I'm the youngest in the family, so by the time I came along and Grandma was sewing, we would just stand up in front of her. She did this for everybody in the family. We had 19 other cousins that Grandma used to sew for as well.
That's
and
craziness.
She would just look at us, and my first memory is of her making a flannel nightgown for us, and she'd just look at you and take a guess, and it always fit perfectly.
Amazing. That's amazing. All right. So when there's not a crisis for homemade masks, are you all sewers or quilters, or sort of what's your life before this happened?
We are both sewers of varying degrees. This is Joyce, by the way. Mm-hmm. I have been sewing since I was about 6 or 7 years old. I started sewing by hemming rags that my mother had, so that I could get a feel for the machine and make sure I could do a straight stitch and so forth. The trajectory of my sewing experience, though, took quite a turn in 1989. I saw a notice for the American Sewing Guild, which was quite young at the time, and they did not have a chapter in Pittsburgh, so I inquired at the national office that was then located in Indianapolis, and they said, we don't have anybody in that area. Would you like to start a chapter? And I thought to myself, I could do that. I'll bet I could actually find 5 or 6 people to get together a couple of times a year, and we could sew and talk sewing. Mm-hmm. In 4 years, our chapter was actually over 800 people.
Wow, that's craziness.
It's crazy, yes.
Yeah.
We were doing monthly events. It just exploded. So from there, I went on to become the consumer show director for the American Sewing Guild when they were actually hosting their own consumer sewing events, and then progressed to owning my own business called Pro Show Incorporated that produces a number of consumer events.
Interesting.
Under the Pro Show umbrella, we have the Sewing and Craft Alliance that has several properties like the National Sewing Month promotion, sewing.org, which is an educational website, the Trained Sewing Instructor Program, which teaches people who know how to sew how to become sewing instructors and be successful at it.
Really
so I went from being a passionate home sewer to actually having a business that promotes sewing.
And how has that business impacted? I imagine you had to cancel events and other things because of our current crisis.
We actually have, we were planning a trained sewing instructor program in Las Vegas in July. At this point, I have doubts that that one is actually going to come off. It's just the current crisis takes precedence over anything else that's going on in our lives.
Yeah.
Although we would like to say business as usual, we just cannot operate in the same manner any longer.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. And your sister's story, is it the same or different?
Actually, Mom and Joyce obviously were sewing by the time I came along, and after watching them and wanting to get involved, between the two of them, they taught me how to sew. So I grew up, knowing how to sew and knowing my way around a sewing machine, and got involved quite a bit with Joyce, working at events with her. And I am also a website developer, so I am actually the website developer for ASG.org, their headquarters. And so that was how I ended up, because I had an interest in through sewing.org, as Joyce mentioned, and National Sewing Month, we were getting so many requests last week for people that wanted the fabric mask that's when I created the WeNeedMasks.org website.
It's I have to say, because we created a website as well. We got the same situation. So I run a podcast and a Facebook group, and we were getting inundated with all of this. It got really chaotic. So a friend, a different group, Seth, we created Million Masks a Day as a kind of a repository for everything we were learning. And we had to create a website. And I have to say, your website is really beautiful. It is not easy to create a website quickly. And I'm really impressed with the elegance of your website. And your website is WeNeedMasks.org for those that are listening. So
that's correct.
Tell us about and also we would love to have our goal is really to collect what people are doing so that we can kind of preserve it for history, but also help people sort of navigate what's happening. So I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us. Tell me about WeNeedMasks.org and what you're doing at this website and Facebook group.
Well, what we were seeing last week in messages were both from healthcare facilities, EMS groups, and as well as volunteers who wanted to sew, to say, what can we do? How can we help? So that was when the idea for the We Need Mask came up. I started the website Friday morning, late morning, and had it launched by Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
And within just a few hours, we were already getting submissions from healthcare facilities to be added that said, please send us any mask you can.
Yeah.
So we've been inundated with requests from the different healthcare facilities. I will say that we make sure that they understand that these are fabric masks that are sewn by volunteers. And we ask that when they do their submission, that they have a healthcare professional within the organization who knows what to do with the mask and when they're appropriate to use.
Yeah.
So that it's not just somebody saying, I want a mask, and they don't quite know what whether it's going to do any filtering or whatever. So that's what we're making sure, is that these are healthcare professionals that know what they're doing with a fabric mask to either supplement what they have or to use in a method that they know will be safe for their patients and for them and themselves.
Yeah.
And we've also been working with the American Sewing Guild as well as with others to get the word out. The site does not do direct connections. What we're doing is asking people who are interested in sewing, who are volunteering to sew, to go to the site, find a location. It doesn't even have to be near them.
Yeah.
It can be anywhere, because the vast majority of those locations will take anything mailed to them.
Yeah.
And just start sewing and start mailing them out.
It's just craziness. All right, so we've been getting a lot of questions. First of all, it was kind of weird. There was kind of a backlash. Like I saw it at least Tuesday or Wednesday, where people were like really angry that people were making masks. That has gone away for the most part. Do you agree? Was there a weird shift when people were like, why are you making masks? To now, like, everybody's making masks?
I think one of the questions that we had that came up is because that we have seen quite frequently is, and we even say it on our site, the fabric masks do not prevent the coronavirus. So you cannot wear a mask and not expect that it's going to protect you from the virus.
Yeah.
That is why, once again, we go back to saying that we are depending upon the healthcare professionals who know what they're doing and what the validity is of the masks that are coming in, to either use them. We're finding that they're using them over top of their N95 masks, and what that is doing is extending the life of that mask. They don't have to throw it away as often or change it as often. And they're also using it potentially on people who either may or may not have the virus already, and they're using it to stop the sneezing and the coughing. They're using it to stop the droplets from being expelled out into the air. So it's not preventing coronavirus or the COVID-19 per se, but it is helping to prevent anything that's breathed out or sneezed out or coughed out from reaching out into the air.
It's amazing.
And I think it seemed to me that there had been some confusion about that.
Yeah.
As to how that was going to work. And it's a little difficult, to say it doesn't prevent it, but it does help in the right situations.
Yes. I heard that they also were using them on patients that were not, like they were saving the masks, and this was a way to preserve the...
Correct.
So that was interesting too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love your website. So if people are listening, it's weneedmasks.org, and I like that you have very simple instructions, and then also you can register. And then, so explain sort of the structure of the website for people listening.
We have a section for volunteers who wish to sew, can go on that page and obtain the instructions. There are two different types of masks there right now. Both were created by hospital networks. We did have a change that came through a little bit earlier today that I'll mention. One of the masks is a surgical style mask, typical surgical style mask that you see quite often.
I'm going to interrupt you there. So for surgical masks, what they are kind of like rectangles, and they're kind of got three pleats on the side. That's kind of what a surgical mask looks like.
Correct.
Okay.
And originally the request was for elastic that you went on either side and would fit on the healthcare worker, it would fit behind the ear.
Yeah.
They are now asking that be changed to fabric ties. And that is because they can be laundered and sanitized more than once. The elastic can only be laundered and sanitized one time.
Oh, interesting. So we got
making it one-time use mask.
So one of the things that we were seeing today was that people were worried about either using batiks or other fabric that when you wash it, it's wrinkly. And so there was some question about, like, is that a problem?
Joyce, can you take that one?
Yes. The recommendation starts at using 100% tightly woven cotton, but there is some discussion going on at the moment about what alternatives can be used. Obviously, anything that's real silky or porous allows too much of a potential virus to get through, so you want to avoid those kinds of fabrics. I would like to add that I'm currently working with a doctor in Kansas City, and a doctor in New York City who are advising us on the exact kind of fabric to use. We're also discussing the Olsen mask and the filters that are used in the Olsen style mask.
Tell us a little bit
and
more.
What we're doing is all of this information. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just sorry. That's really interesting. And have they been supportive of your mask making, the doctors?
Yes, absolutely. They're actually encouraging us and helping us in every way possible.
Amazing.
Because they're so desperate to get these into the hands of the healthcare workers.
So tell me what
we're able to do.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. You said something about
Olsen.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I've got so many questions. I'm not being very polite. Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
What we're able to do is update the website almost continuously as this new information comes in. So anybody that's looking for the most updated information on what's acceptable and what isn't acceptable can find it on our website, because we have these healthcare professionals weighing in with us, and Janice is able to make changes on the fly so that
That's so great.
If it's new, important information, it'll show there as soon as we can possibly get it there.
So tell me what an Olsen mask is.
An Olsen mask is a two-pocket mask that has a micron filter in the center. And it started out, and this is what we've learned just over the last 2 days, it started out where the hospitals were accepting those Olsen masks, but they were providing the micron filter that went in the center of them. That, I understand now, is no longer the case because they're having trouble sourcing that micron filter for how many are needed. So we actually have a research scientist now in Minnesota that's working on alternatives to a micron filter. And one of the alternatives that he's looking at has not been approved yet. I want to be very clear about that, is using a furnace filter cut to size.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get that information, if that is an acceptable alternative, we'll put that right up on the website so that people will know that that is something that they could be using.
Got it.
Otherwise, what I'm trying to prevent is people producing masks that can't be used on the front lines.
Got it. And do you think so right now, what would you say that the strategy would be stick with the surgical mask? Don't go and make your own filters and be crazy that way. But like we don't know exactly what kind of filter to put in there, to sort of don't be creative. Would you agree?
One of the questions that we ask the healthcare facilities when they are signing up on our website is to review the masks that we have available and to make a choice of what they want, whether they want the surgical or the Olsen or both.
Right.
So they are aware when they are signing up on our website, they are aware of what type of masks we are presenting as far as patterns.
Interesting. Very
so
interesting.
It's better to meet that need because they know what they're getting.
Yeah.
Than trying to be creative with something that, we don't know that works, because we certainly don't want them, as Joyce said, to receive something and then throw it away.
Right. That's what people are worried about. I mean, I've heard that a number of times.
Well, and I've seen some discussion just this morning about, we could probably use coffee filters and something like that for the Olsen mask.
Right.
That is completely not the right route to go, because that will not meet the standards of the hospital. So, again, we don't want sewers out there putting time and effort into producing these things that can't be used on the front line. That's why we're trying to keep the website up to date at all times so that they have the most accurate information.
Yeah, it's great. It's so insanely great. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. If anyone thinks that it's not needed, I'm going to share one story, because I have a section in the submission form where they can send a private note through to us. And I received one yesterday that actually had me in tears, because they said that their facility, their workers were using paper towels.
Oh, my God.
Because they had no masks.
Oh, my gosh.
So if you don't think a mask is going to help, that should tell you something right there.
Yes.
So we're begging, pleading, please go to these pages, to the list of locations, and start sewing and just start sending. They desperately need them.
And
it may not be perfect, but it's better than paper towels and what they have right now.
Yeah.
Which is on some of them basically nothing.
Now, have your larger groups that you've been involved with, are they getting involved with you, or sort of how are you disseminating the message?
We have sent out a message to the entire American Sewing Guild group. I have been trying to get it out online. To be honest, I haven't had as much time to devote to doing the social media posts. So if anybody is out there, and if you can get the information out on social media, I know there's that's going to have a lot more spread.
Right.
And I just haven't had the time to be able to post those things to get the information out. But we have some groups that are working en masse that, as a matter of fact, there's a group in North Carolina that we listed that is doing for their entire state. And, so if anybody wants to get involved with them, we're just trying to get the word out. The locations are writing to us just constantly to be added to the list.
Amazing.
So we need sewers to make sure that all those requests are filled.
Right, totally. We're getting them too. And so I'm going to send on the people that are requesting to you. It's interesting. We interviewed another person who's a PhD student at Berkeley who's really focusing on, she's a public health PhD student. So she's got a list of 5,100 hospitals, and so they're looking at the major hospitals with ICU units and working really hard to sort of assess their need. And I think what's interesting about your list is that it's more than that. That you're looking at all kinds of spaces, and I think that is really, really interesting. Sort of the kind of, you have a place that says locations needing masks, and it's emergency departments and senior care facilities and animal care program. And so Walmart, it's kind of remarkable.
Yeah, we have EMS facilities, EMS groups that,
Yeah. So, I think that this is really helpful. I really
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just think that both groups are doing incredible things. And so, again, if you're one of these places, you won't be on. Her name's Alexa, so my Alexa's not going to go off. Oh, it didn't hear me. Okay, good. And so she, so you guys are doing kind of the same but different. Also, the way hers is different in the sense that she's asking the hospitals, and they're like, some of them have patterns they want, but others are like, whatever. I think it's a really smart thing you've done of giving them two options on patterns, because I think there's a discourse disconnect. Hospitals aren't sewers yet necessarily.
Right.
And so to have them be like, well, what pattern do you want, is good. But this is a really interesting model to say, choose a pattern.
We actually also give them an opportunity to upload their own pattern.
That's great.
I have several facilities who have their own pattern that they want used, and that is posted as well.
That's super great. It really is. Well, we'll get it out as much as we possibly can. I do hope, we were talking before we started recording, is we really want to stop having to make masks. We're not out,
Right.
this is like...
Be happier.
That is the goal.
Yes.
That is definitely the goal.
Yeah.
One thing that I would like to add is that what I'm being told from the advisors that I've been talking with is that the major healthcare facilities, like your major hospitals in large cities, will probably be the first ones to receive the supplies when they loosen up from the suppliers and federal government. But it's all of the others along the pipeline, like the EMS facilities, the pet care facilities, the nursing homes, and so forth, that are further down the list that are still in great need, but might not be getting them in a timely manner.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I saw when I saw your list. I was like, wow, like UC Davis Animal Care Program, right? Like this is getting to like the regular everyday people, not this big deal hospitals. And right. I do hope that people go to this list, help out, and also register with you, because I think it's a really great list. I'm going to be sending them to you when they come to me, because we're really about information. We're not about what you're doing. We're just trying to sort of understand what's happening and have a place for people to go to sort of know what's going on. So Yeah, amazing.
Well,
the work
we
is amazing.
We appreciate that, and if there's anything that we can provide for you that would be helpful on your side of what you're doing for this, just let us know.
Well, we would love, if you talk to the doctors, if they want to come on and chat, we would love that. We really are looking for medical personnel to come and help us understand why we need homemade masks, and I think that would make us feel more comfortable. If they've got time, or to spend 10 minutes or 15 minutes sort of saying, yeah, we should be making masks, it would be great. So,
well, I'll be sure to mention it as I speak with them.
Fabulous. Well, anything else before we end? This has been super informative and really interesting.
Thank you so much. I just encourage everybody, please make masks, choose a location. Does not have to be near you. If there's not something near you, you can just pick a location and send. Even the ones that say they would prefer if it was dropped off, they are willing to take by mail as well.
Got it. Awesome. Well, you both are doing amazing things. You're a powerhouse. And please come.
Thank you.
Yes, and please come back if you get more.
So much appreciate you doing this.
Of course, come back and
out.
let me know if you want to come back and if there's updates or other things, and we'll post that. Are you okay with us posting before without reviewing? You didn't say anything naughty or weird or anything.
No, you're welcome to go ahead and post.
Okay, cool.
I'm fine with that.
Awesome. And once we
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Well, we're going to try to get this up very quickly. I will send you a link, so if you want to put this on your website so that people can understand your story, I would love that. And we will get it out. And are you okay with us? We're also putting a link. We're actually going to, of organizations, we're adding you to our list on our website, if that's okay.
That's great. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Absolutely.
And you're doing great work.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Take
All right.
care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
So the need for face masks continues. We see that hospitals are starting to get new shipments of face masks, but the little guys are still not. It is Tuesday, March 24th, 2020. We are still in this crisis of needing homemade masks. And I do encourage you to put those quilts down and make as many masks as you can until we find that the supply is okay again. Oh my goodness, hard to believe. So you've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School. And I'm Elizabeth Townsend Garr. If you like this podcast, keep listening. Also, we have a Facebook group. Come join us. We talk about a lot of things. We also have an Instagram account. And of course, most importantly, I really hope you get a chance to quilt today.